You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, and by the grace of God, we're on the air. Wow, what a week! My goodness, what a week moving in here to the lovely Newsmax studios, putting this thing together. Yeoman's effort by great people here, including a gentleman I want to thank personally. His name's Don Brown. We were just talking actually here. He's an engineer and all of this, and our lives are like parallel, except for like he's a black guy and I'm a white guy. Well, our lives are parallel. We met our wives in the same year. We got married in the same year. We had our children in the same years, and we just got divorced in the same year. What the heck? There's a reason why I'm working with this guy. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. Oh my goodness, what a time it has been though. And you may notice on the live stream today. Hopefully everything looks good. I think it does. They literally had to get two different IP addresses to deliver the show to you guys, and then also another one for you guys listening on the radio. So we got it done. I'm looking pretty good. The lighting could be better, but you know, ladies. I mean, honestly, you don't need a lot of great looking light when you see this face, right? I mean, go on. Actually, you'd prefer to see it in the dark, to be quite honest. Anyway, we've got a lot of things to get to on the show. Big news, I guess, is the House passes a Trump-backed bill to make daylight savings permanent. Now, I'm trying to understand what the hell this means. House of Representatives on Tuesday passed a Trump-backed bill to make daylight savings permanent. So, if we're making daylight savings permanent, then it means we're going to keep doing the spring forward and fall back, right? Isn't that making daylight savings permanent? The bill dubbed the Sunshine Protection Act, the Sunshine Protection Act. My God, the Sunshine, that's what they came. The Sunshine Protection Act. Just stop it. We're just gonna protect that sun. Oh my God, it's so fantastic. Back in May, President Trump touted the Sunshine Act, which will make daylight savings permanent and remove the requirement for Americans to adjust their clocks twice a year. Okay, so what the hell? Okay, hold on. It's daylight savings. I thought daylight savings was the thing that we did to fall forward or fall backwards, whatever the hell it is, when we change the times and we got to change the time on the microwave and everything, and then we get all confused and we show up early or we arrive late at different things, we miss church and the whole deal. I thought that was daylight savings. But Donald Trump is saying that making daylight savings permanent is going to stop us from springing forward and falling back. This is not what I needed today. I'm having some cognitive difficulties anyway. From the hour and 45 minutes I was in traffic today. It's amazing. They shut down the streets and then don't offer you an alternative. And for some odd reason, the GPS girl that talks to me, she sounds kind of like Jewish, and I really like her, but my daughter turned her voice off, so I couldn't hear her telling me, hey, maybe you ought to turn up here, you moron. So I sat in traffic for an hour and 45 minutes. So anyway, the bill here, in the Energy and Commerce Committee on the Sunshine Protection Act, which will be making daylight savings time permanent. This is so important. This is Donald Trump. This is so important in that hundreds of millions of dollars are spent every year by people, cities, and states being forced to change their clocks. Many of these clocks are located in towers, and the cost of renting or using heavy equipment to do this twice a year is cost prohibitive. The House bill, it will be attaching the Sunshine Protection Act to the highway bill. So I guess we're not going to spring forward and fall back because that's daylight savings. I'm getting a headache. I'm getting a headache, and I was already working on to be quite honest. I was already working on one. So I guess we're not going to be springing forward and falling back if this passes. Right? I mean, I'm a smart guy, okay? I do a lot of show prep. I do a lot of dedicated to this program. I mean, literally, last night I was up at 2 in the morning until 5 doing show prep because I was in here doing other stuff in the studio. And then I come upon this, and I'm like, I'm a very smart guy generally, I had my IQ tested one time. It was in the 130s. I was right there with Madonna. Really, I'm serious. I'm right there with Madonna, the same intelligence quotient as Madonna. And so generally I'm very good at deciphering things. Couple of things I'm not good at. spatial directions like IKEA furniture directions. You ever do those? I have a hard time seeing the finished product, and so I generally have to put it together twice and take it apart and then finally figure it out. And this, which is the daylight, figuring out what the hell daylight savings time means, but it sounds like we're getting rid of it, even though I thought daylight savings time was, I don't even know. Here's the president again. I'm going to work very hard to see the Sunshine Protection Act signed into law. Well, man, I tell you what, that is, I mean, save act schmavecht. Honestly, it's time that people can stop worrying about the clock. Not to mention all the work and money that is spent on this ridiculous twice yearly production. It will also be a very nice win for the Republican Party. Take it. Yeah, we'll go right into the midterms. Pardon me. I'm going to adjust my shoe here. We'll go right into the midterms saying, you know what? We didn't get the SAVE Act passed, but by God, you don't have to change your clock twice a year. So stick it, Democrats. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. It is a little confusing. I mean, I like the one in the spring because the days get longer, right? And then you can stay up a little bit later, and it's not dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon like it is in Minnesota in January. My God, terrible. So there you go. I guess they're getting. Hold on a second. Let me say it again here. The House passes a Trump-backed bill to make daylight savings permanent by getting rid of daylight savings time. Joe Biden's got a new book. Yeah, Joe Biden thinks that people want to buy his book. This is one of the funniest things I've heard in a very long time. Joe Biden has decided he's going to write a book. Well, somebody wrote a book for him. I think they used the auto pen. I think they used the auto pen. Clearly, it's AI all the way. But here is Joe Biden announcing his book. Nobody bought Jill Biden's book. She said it was on the New York bestsellers list for 1 week, and then it dropped completely out. It disappeared like Graham Plattner. Just completely disappeared because they bought a bunch of books and nobody, they bought different NGOs and whatever. Like Gavin Newsom, 70% of his books were bought by him. And nobody else bought the book. So the same thing happened to Jill Biden. I think it was a collection of bad recipes and bad dressing tips because she dresses like a couch in 1973. That said, do you think anybody is going to buy Joe Biden's book? This is real.
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me.
Since I left the presidency, what did he just say?
Since I left the presidency, I've had...
That's the beginning of the bit right there. No idea. Just ask the presidency? What the what?
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me, Joe, what have you been doing?
I still don't know what he said. Oh, there's the instrumental music, the institutional classical music they use, and to kind of set up like, you're going to be interested. Here we go.
I've been spending a lot of time with my family. I'm dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and I've been getting treatment, and it's been going really well.
Wow, he sounds great, doesn't he? He's reading out the teleprompter, and you still can barely understand a word he says. When do I get my pudding?
I want to thank all those who offered their prayers and support and well wishes. It's meant the world to me and to Jill.
Yeah,
I've written a book about my time as president.
Oh.
It's called Promise Me America.
Promise Me America Will Suck is what it should have been.
It's coming out in November.
Yeah.
And it's available for pre-order now.
Oh, yeah, I'll get right on that. Woof.
It's about the challenge we face as a nation.
What about that year you had 9% inflation and the price of houses doubled and the COVID nonsense and all that bullcrap? Yeah, how about that? And the open border. Let's hope you covered that.
About the decisions I made. Why I made them.
Oh, great. I'd love to figure this one out.
Leading the country through COVID.
Yeah, you led us right through it.
Rebuilding our economy and restoring our democracy after the attack on January 6th.
January the 6th, yeah. Restoring our democracy by censoring speech.
Ending our nation's longest war in Afghanistan.
Ending our Afghanistan.
Strengthening NATO.
Strengthening NATO. Strengthening NATO.
And supporting Ukraine.
Supporting Ukraine.
It's about why I chose to run for re-election. And why I chose to step aside.
And the day you decided to step aside. Oh, my God.
Most of all, It's about my faith in the promise of America.
Oh my God, why'd you try to destroy it?
The promise we made to those who've gone before us is to
What do you think he's called it? Joe Biden's presidency. Craptacular.
honor their sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
The promises we made to one another and to treat everyone with dignity and respect. And the promises we made to future generations of Americans to remain the beacon to the world.
Beacon of the world.
Promise Me America is about my faith in America and the American people.
Oh my God.
I hope you'll read it.
Oh no,
and I
dear
hope it
God.
strengthens your faith in
Dear God, no, you couldn't write a coffee table book. Your brain is so gone. You couldn't write a coffee table book. Here's a classic from Jim
I'm
Gossett.
afraid that poor Joe Biden, his faculties are sliding. Yes, it's a sad refrain. On the edge, watch him teeter. He would be a better leader if he only had a brain.
Still don't know what he said in that first sentence. I don't even
That
know.
non-existent hand he's shaking, and all the gaffes Joe's making, his supporters can't explain. When he speaks, it's a gamble. I bet he wouldn't ramble if he only had a brain.
President Pudding for Brains has written a book.
Oh, I can't tell you why Joe Biden somehow got elected.
He was chosen.
Just hope November 8th.
81 million
He and his
votes.
kind will be rejected.
And they were.
Joe Biden, he's so dense, he doesn't have the sense to come in from the rain.
He looks up at the sky and he drowns.
He's worse than Jimmy Carter, but I bet he'd be much smarter if he only had a brain.
So there you go. You can pre-order Joe Biden's book. It's called Scrutiny, and it will be available in January, just in time for Christmas. So there you go. All right, we've got a lot of stuff on the show today. Doug Burns is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. The number here is 800-922-6680. This, my friends, is a Wednesday edition of the Rob Carson Show.
WCBM.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
Donald Trump has a big speech on Thursday night. Here he is being asked about what we can expect.
Well, I'd rather save it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to say also. But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news.
Oh, boy.
It's really, really big news.
Oh, boy.
And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger. Because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement.
Now, this is related to the ballots that they are investigating in the state of Georgia. This is what I've heard. We'll hear from Stephen Turley in just a second about this. This week, the FBI fired a husband and wife analyst who refused to assist the 2020 Georgia election investigation, according to multiple reports. The Atlanta-based analysts, a husband and wife, told colleagues they did not believe the investigation was justified and declined to work the case. That's just brilliant. That's super duper smart. If you're an employee of the FBI saying, we don't believe this investigation, so we're not going to do it. Is that cool? Can we just pass on this one, just not do our job? Is that okay? Can we? Oh, I've been fired? Okay. And she has too? All right, great, thanks. And our stuff will be on the curb in a box in about 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. The FBI will always investigate credible investigations of matters related to federal elections. Spokesman said every employee in this FBI is to uphold our mission and adhere to our standards. Any deviation will not be tolerated. Earlier this month, the FBI assigned 260 investigative analysts to assist with the ongoing investigation into the fraud that took place in Fulton County, Georgia during the 2020 presidential election. There wasn't any fraud. It was a water main break that suddenly wasn't a water main break, and the voting stopped in all the battleground states at exactly the same time, and they didn't start recounting the votes until the next morning when they all came in, and they were all for Joe Biden, and he ended up winning the election by an unbelievable margin with more votes than Barack Obama did. But other than that, it was perfectly fine. Here is Dr. Stephen Turley talking about what to expect on Thursday, and I'm hoping it's going to be blockbuster.
President Trump will reportedly deliver a national primetime address presenting newly declassified intelligence.
I'll already tell you, no matter what he says, of course, Democrats are going to say no. Even though, by the way, it involves multiple intelligence agencies and investigative departments of the federal government that have found mountains of evidence
that foreign nations did, in fact, interfere in the 2020 election, specifically including evidence related to vulnerabilities in voting machines. He reportedly will be flanked by CIA Director John Ratcliffe, acting DNI Bill Pulte, DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, and FBI Director Kash Patel. So if these reports are accurate, I mean, just think of that lineup in front of the entire nation.
I know.
The CIA, DNI, DHS, FBI, the full national security apparatus.
Do you suppose maybe this is one of the reasons why the Democrats don't want voter ID, so you can have to prove you are who you are when you vote and stuff?
Apparatus of the United States government standing behind declassified intelligence in a prime time national.
I'm going to have the popcorn ready to go, baby.
Address. Formal, official, intelligence-backed testimony to the nation. And according to reports circulating as of yesterday, Trump is specifically preparing to challenge the legitimacy of Georgia's two Democrat senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock.
He's going to challenge those two who were elected around the same time, including John Ossoff. His father's name is Jack Ossoff. John Ossoff, and let's hear that again, ladies and gentlemen.
The nation. And according to reports circulating as of yesterday, Trump is specifically preparing to challenge the legitimacy of Georgia's two Democrat senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock.
The
Warlock, as I like to call him, citing the pervasiveness of fraud surrounding their 2020.
But of course, there's no voter fraud at all. I mean, certainly there's no voter fraud because Democrats say there is none. Oh, I can't wait, man. Oh, I can't wait. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but you got to wonder why the Democrats are so very, 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 very concerned about asking for identification and telling women that you can't survive without your husband because, voter ID. And the same way black people can't get ID, and people who live in the country and drive pickup trucks and tractors can't get an ID, even though we all have IDs, and the only people in America who don't have legitimate proof of citizenship are non-citizens. You know why I know that? Because I'm not stupid. Do you also maybe put two and two together with why the Democrats don't want the voter rolls cleaned up of people who've died and all of that? Have you ever wondered why they bring in all these illegals into places like New York and put them up in fancy hotels for a year and give them all this government largesse, or allow these Somalians to open leering centers and make millions and millions of dollars and vote exclusively Democrat? Maybe there's something to do with that. Maybe there's something to do with that. Yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to be pretty blockbuster stuff. By the way, you know what? We're celebrating our 250th birthday, even though Democrats aren't. But that's okay, because they missed the 250th birthday, and they won't be alive for the 300th. So, sorry you missed the party. We wouldn't be celebrating it if we didn't have a strong foundation. The framers did that. Hamilton built Americans' a financial foundation on the principle of sound, stable money. And, of course, a principle that was later embodied by the gold standard, which went south in 1971. What about the foundation of your savings in your retirement? If it's like mine has been lately, built on sand, I've decided to shore it up. And one of the things that I did was started investing my money in Birch Gold. Birch Gold, one of the company I choose. They have my money, and they can help you solidify your savings with gold. Convert that existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn how it fits into your portfolio by texting my name, Rob, to the number 989898. You'll receive a free, no-obligation info kit. They have an A-plus rating from the BBB, countless 5-star reviews, including from this guy right here, me. I'm pointing at me with my thumbs if you're not streaming. Text my name, Rob, to 989898. For Birch Gold, it looks like Jack Smith surveilled a whole bunch of members of Congress. He's in hot agua because he lied to Congress about that. We'll talk to Doug Burns about that coming up, and this is the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson.
Gotta ride the block Hormuz. We got a right to shut it down. Iran's leader is a clown. They're in clear violation. It is safe to assume the bombing will resume. All Iran will see is misery. We will take out power plants. Coral Island we will seize. You'll see it on the news. We got a right to block or
Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when pain is a part of your everyday life. Relief Factor was created to help people address inflammation, one of the most common causes of ongoing aches and pains from aging, overexertion, and daily living. It's a 100% drug-free, research-based formula that works through multiple metabolic pathways to support comfort and mobility. No prescription, no masking symptoms, just real relief so you can keep moving forward. I work out every other day, I crush it at the gym, and I ride my bike 100 miles on the weekend. I credit Relief Factor for making all of those activities pain-free. And as America celebrates 250 years of independence, give yourself a chance to reclaim yours. To commemorate, they're offering a special patriotic price, just $17.76. Yeah. So you can pursue your happiness being pain-free. Your $17.76 3-week quick start is ready for you. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's ReliefFactor.com or 800-4-RELIEF.
Well, I'd rather save it. It will concern that subject. We'll have a couple of other things to say also. But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news. It's really, really big news.
Boy.
And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger. Wow. Because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah.
This is a big deal, Dennis, to talk about the Thursday night speech that Donald Trump is going to make. That's tomorrow night, by the way. Is Doug Burns, former federal prosecutor, one of the favorite guests of this here radio program. And Doug, your first time on my show from the new Newsmax studios where I am in the heart of Washington, D.C.
Oh, very nice. That's great to hear.
It has been. It never has so much effort been made to move something so small.
You're being way too modest.
So what do you think this speech is going to be about on Thursday night? It sounds like, Kash Patel, they went down to Georgia and they got all the ballots and everything, and apparently it's calling into question the legitimacy of the two Democrat senators elected there, it's John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. What do you know about this, man? What are you thinking?
Well, from my mouth to God's ears, as they say, I mean, it would be awfully nice if, and I'm an evidence guy, obviously, that's my world. It would be awfully nice if, the big bombshell that he's referring to is just, unassailable evidence to the level that, it's impossible, for MSNOW to look in the camera and deny. We'll go to the classroom hypotheticals. I know you love them. A tape recording of two officials saying, he lost by 82,000 votes, but here we have 160 fake votes, thousand. Again, is that going to happen? Probably not. The president does tend to, over-dramatize some of these teases, but if I may be a broken record, if there's crystal clear evidence that fraud took place, that would be a good thing.
He's got the DNI director, he's got the FBI director, he's got the CIA director. They're all going to be there with him. They've been digging through this evidence, and the left, the Democrat Party, has done everything they can to get those ballots back so they can shred them. Doug, I think there's something there. It's just a matter of whether or not the media is going to say, "Oh yeah, it's legit," and most certainly they won't.
All you can do is hope. That's number one. But then number two, you make the key point, which is certainly in my lifetime, I've never seen us get to a point where, again, another hypothetical, crystal clear photograph, of the defendant at the scene of the crime. And that's fake. That's a doctored photograph. I mean, they tend to come up with an argument for everything. So even back to my initial formulation,
yes,
if you had quote-unquote unassailable evidence of fraud, again, you would see ridiculous spins. But there does come a time when something is so clear that it just cannot be refuted, and I'm just hoping that might be the case.
Well, we will. Well, they certainly were able to cover up Joe Biden's cognitive decline, which I think was clear and unrefuted.
Well, hold on. You just made the key point. You've got a guy who's completely and totally in decline.
Yes.
Happened to my own dad.
Yeah.
Very troubling and difficult in any family to see that happen. And then my dad passed away at 83. But the point I'm making is if you can turn around, seriously, and say Joe Biden is, and now I'm quoting, of course, from, I think it was Scarborough, he's the best Joe Biden I've ever seen. How can you do that as a journalist? How is that possible?
Because they can. I mean, honestly, it's a matter of indoctrination. Here's the problem. The leftist media went through the same indoctrination in J school that all of these Democrat socialists have gone through in their 12 years of college with their job at Starbucks trying to take over the Democrat Party. So that's why they don't cover it. They don't cover the stories. They don't bother to cover the stories. There are so many gigantic stories like the fraud that's happened in place in across the country. Trillions of dollars in fraud. Any other party, any other man was in charge, anybody else was doing the investigation, it would be every night, all night. Can you believe what we discovered? Oh my God in heaven. Leering centers in Minneapolis. Oh my God in heaven. Medical fraud here, there, and everywhere. But because Donald Trump is the president and his Justice Department is looking into it, nobody cares.
I don't think we've ever seen, nor will we ever see again, most likely, a situation of rationalization to the levels that we've seen in the last 10 years. It's unbelievable.
It really
go on and on and on. And somebody was joking, I think it might have been you, that Trump should come out with something in reverse.
Yes.
To get them to go again.
Yes.
I think you said that.
Well, something like, the SAVE Act. You definitely want to vote for the SAVE Act because Donald Trump hates it or something like that,
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
No. If Trump came out, he goes, look, I changed my mind. I think the SAVE Act is terrible. I apologize to everybody. They would pass it in 5 minutes.
By the way, I want to mention this. A FBI fired a husband and wife analysts who refused to assist the Georgia 2020 election results. They were escorted out of the building. They said they didn't believe the investigation was justified and declined to work on the case. Not exactly the smartest move if you're an FBI agent, Doug.
Well, whether it's in the military or the Bureau, the FBI, of course, you do. You're answering to superiors. Obviously, you've sworn an oath to faithfully, do your job and so forth. So again, you want to be a big hero and a martyr. so you can get invited to left-wing cocktail parties, knock yourself out, but you're going to lose your job.
Well, they could have just played along and acted like they were investigating and put all the evidence in burn bags. You know, that's what the FBI...
That's a great point.
That's the FBI normally does.
Sabotage it, right?
I swear to God, that's exactly the way it is. I want to get to the Jack Smith he surveiled 44 members of Congress. Chuck Grassley is all up in his rear end about this, and he apparently obtained text messages that 44 members of Congress sent to senior White House officials during the final weeks of President Donald Trump's first term. What do you know about this, and what kind of trouble is this guy in?
Yeah, just covered it on N2 literally 10 minutes ago.
Gotcha.
And no, basically, he is no surprise. Those of us who've, studied the matter, read some books on it and stuff, know full well that he grossly politicized the process of justice. He obtained text messages from, get this, 40 Republicans and four Democrats.
Wow.
So right away, that right there, that's Exhibit 1, 2, and 3. And the point is, 10 times more importantly, though, is that he actually lied in Congress about it.
Yes.
He was asked a very good question, and I say that because as a trial lawyer, a lot of times I see ineffective questions asked. I
think I have it for you. Listen here.
Did the toll records that you requested from the senators, did they include the content of the phone calls?
No.
Did the records that you requested, the toll records from the members of Congress, include the content of text messages?
No.
Okay, so I think that's the lie right there.
That's exactly it. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, right on the money. And the point is, Rob, clearly untruthful, clearly lied on a material matter, obviously. And I say that because, that's required. You're not being asked, what's your shoe size in a comical hypothetical, And the fact of the matter is they should seriously investigate him for perjury because he lied about it. And the reality is that, I'm not even going to say when the history books are written because we already know it, and it's already been done. This guy was a total disgrace to the process of law. I mean, where a lawyer really shows their true colors is interesting, and I won't use the name, but there's a very liberal law professor in New York City. He detests Trump. Yet, well, I'll give away his name because I'll plug his book. Why not? And yet he writes a book called The Myth of Birthright Citizenship, where he brilliantly goes through everything to show that birthright citizenship, as it's being argued right now, is not viable legally. So major kudos to him. Seriously, because a legal analyst shows their true chops when they put aside the toxicity. If something cuts against Trump legally, I think you know me well enough to know. I'll point that out calmly.
Yep. I want to touch on that, the other side of the break, because Donald Trump is asking the Supreme Court to rehear that case. I don't know if it's possible. Also, I want to touch a little bit on this woman in the Zoran Mandami administration had lined up a meeting with the ambassador from Iran. What kind of issues does that person face legally? Let's take a break and come back. More with Doug Burns on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
WCBM.
They have required me to, my children, to think about and see things that children should not have to see or think about. One example is when threats to my life were particularly intense a few years ago, around the time of the Dobbs leak. My security detail sent me home with a bulletproof vest, and I carried it into my house, put it into my bedroom, dropped it down on a table, turned around, and my 12-year-old son was standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and he wanted to know what it was and why I had it. And I didn't know how to respond because maybe I lack imagination, but I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one.
That is Amy Coney Barrett, Supreme Court Justice, and talking in a hearing yesterday about threats against the Supreme Court, asking for more money for security. I think it's inarguable, but it is the result of stochastic terror created by the Democrat Party in the last 10 years, demonizing Supreme Court justices and certainly warning Supreme Court justices a whirlwind was coming to them if they got rid of Roe v. Wade. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Doug Burns.
Well, I mean, it's totally disgraceful. I put a lot of it on the liberal media. You know, we went from a situation where, you know, you'd have an intelligent discussion. I disagree with your analysis of the case. That's fine. Oh, let me hear your side of it. Absolutely. We went from that to the court's illegitimate, okay, the court's corrupt.
Yes.
And then we have the United States senior senator, Charles Schumer, saying, you won't know what hit you,
Yes.
Gorsuch.
Yes.
I mean, you have to be kidding me with that. Okay, that was a disgrace. And so the fact of the matter is, I heard you use the key word, whatever, reasonable. I mean, this was a reasonable request for increased funding for security. But it's disgraceful what's gone on. And as I like to point out with one little contextual historical fact, Antonin Scalia, who was a lightning rod, you know, for the left to criticize, he was confirmed 98-0 in the Senate.
Wow. I want to move on to the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America. They have a wish list of things that they claim they're going to do when they get into power, including abolishing the Senate, the Electoral College, allowing the presidency to be chosen. I mean, honestly, it's so a socialist ownership and Democrat control of utilities and key industries, including railroads, water, gas, electric, create unified Democrat and public banking system that socialize the fuel of the capitalist system. These are words of war. This isn't, you can't do this. You cannot do this to our government. This is not a political platform. This is seditious. What are your thoughts on this? First of all, it's not going to happen. Too many people have died, and too many will make them, they will go to war before any of this is tried.
Never going to happen. And the point is, the 2024 presidential election is very, very instructive. Okay, because the people of the United States of America stepped up to the plate and made a clear, definitive statement that they were not impressed, being too generous, not going to tolerate, I should say, all of the Biden, DEI running things off the rail, playing race cards every minute from the bottom of the deck. They weren't going to hear it. If you segue to like AOC and Gavin Newsom, and we've discussed this, obviously you and I see them with no viability throughout the nation. And the stuff you just read off, the checklist,
it's stupid.
Has no viability, in my opinion.
Well, and no, it cannot happen. You cannot overturn the Constitution of the United States. If you become a member of Congress, you are sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States. None of that is constitutional. You cannot be allowed in Congress if you think you're going to get that crap done.
Well, it's funny because you just segued into something I wanted to say, so thanks. And that is that you're going to see you'll see maybe in the next few years somebody under serious threat of being kicked out of Congress for the exact reason that you just articulated.
Well,
okay, you swear to uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States, and you can't start running your mouth all over the place with these idiotic, wild notions.
What about this? A top official in Zohran Mamdani's administration secretly scheduled a meeting with Iran's UN ambassador. Trump's State Department forced it to shut down. Chip Roy says that Mayor Mamdani must be denaturalized and deported. That ain't going to happen. But, I mean, this is like beyond Logan Act kind of stuff here, dude, especially since we're at war with Iran, not necessarily declared, but certainly they are a political adversary of us, not to be spoken to, not to be reasoned with, not to be negotiated with. Your thoughts?
Well, if it were with an ally, just go with that little factual twist. Improperly conducting foreign policy as a private U.S. citizen typically violates... But joking aside, she could easily face investigation and even prosecution for violating the Logan Act.
100%.
And particularly, as you say, just double and triple it when it's with somebody that we're in a military conflict.
One other thing, we got literally about 30 seconds. I've been talking about other stuff. Reintroducing the argument about birthright citizen to the Supreme Court isn't going to happen. Otherwise, Indiana Senator's bill is going to codify it. Trump's birthright citizens order. They're going to try it that way. What do you think?
Yeah, rehearing is very rare. They have a rule on it, but it hasn't happened in like 50 years. They should try legislation in Congress, particularly more on the birth tourism even than on the illegal alien part. Yeah. Birth tourism can be cured legislatively, in my opinion, easily. The other one, a little harder.
Maybe, is there a ruling for the judges who voted for this in the next hearing to pull their heads out of their butts? Because I think that was what happened with the last one, is their rear ends, their heads were up their rear ends, Doug. That's what
I think that's a very apt legal description.
All right. Great to talk to you, man. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Oh, my God, we're working today.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or
what a
you
week
now
it's
need
been, guys.
affordable
What a
health
week it's been.
insurance,
What a
you
week
need
it's
to make
been. Oh,
this
my
free
God. Oh, my
call
God. Oh, my
right
God.
now and see how the health insurance
Anyway, glad to
helpline
see
can
you
help
here, guys.
get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it.
Unbelievable
We have
since
short
Friday,
and
and
long-term health
today
insurance
it finally
plans, and some even cover
started
dental,
to work.
vision,
And so
prescription
thank you for your
drugs.
patience.
Don't take a risk with your
I can't tell you what it means for you guys to be here.
Or now need affordable health insurance.
For me to be in this
Call
building,
right
we're
now
just
and learn
getting
for
it
free
together.
how to get it.
I
Listen,
have been in here
health insurance
Friday,
plans for everyone
Sunday all
just
day,
like you
Monday
are a
all day,
free
yesterday,
phone call away. So
8 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock last night. And today's going to be a long day too. But what? And I have met some people here. I met Nick Shirley yesterday. Nick Shirley was in the building yesterday. I met Dr. Oz again. I saw Dr. Oz yesterday, and I got to speak to him. I didn't get a chance to really talk to them because I was very busy. We're going to be putting an interview area in this room, as small as it may be, and we are going to do interviews with people live on the radio.
That's true of
it's going to be
parents and
gigantic.
every other trusted adult
It's
in
going to be
kids' life.
gigantic.
Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations.
Really, really cool.
So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because
But I met a bunch of people yesterday. I mean, it's really,
it's
really cool. It's really cool. For me, anyway, knowing that they know the show and they like the show, which is kind of cool.
Let's get to work on Talk Radio 680
anyway, so that's the real positive.
99.9 FM in Harford County.
I'm going to grab something real quick. I've got to talk about something real quick here, guys. Pardon me for just 1 second.
Throughout the day, breaking news, stimulating talk, only on Talk Radio 680 WCBM.
All right, here we go. Sorry, guys.
99.9 FM
Gotta
in
talk.
Harford County.
You have 3 minutes here. Ken says when you do streaming, you got to mute WCBM.
Oh, gotcha. This is not an EV. And it never will be. Come on. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. What a time I'm having here in Washington D.C. Moved to the studio on Monday. Didn't do the show then, did the show yesterday, had some technical difficulties. And then, of course, we are on track today. Just a few little lighting things we're going to do, otherwise it's perfect. Yesterday was extraordinary. Monday, you'll recall, I went to the Capitol and got a tour of the Capitol with House Speaker Mike Johnson and other conservative influencers. I got to introduce everybody. Little old me selling cars 6 years ago. I got to introduce everybody to the event. And it was a blast. And there was this part where we were in the House chambers, and Mike Johnson's there, and we're in the House chambers. And he says, "Here's how we vote." And he walks over and he has a little card, and he taps it, well, on the place where you vote. And all of a sudden his name lit up there. It said Mike Johnson, ding, ding, ding. And I said, "Wait a minute, did you just pass the SAVE Act?" And he started laughing out loud. It was remarkable. It was remarkable. I don't think they're ready for me. We were in Mike Johnson's office, and they had Fox News playing on the monitor. And I said, "Mr. Speaker, why are you running Fox News? You should have Newsmax on there." And he said, "I don't know why anybody put that crap on there." And he laughed about it. It was incredible. Yesterday, I'm hanging out, just walking down the hall. All of a sudden, I see, holy hell, that's Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley is in the building. He's sitting in the makeup chair. I went in and talked to Nick Shirley. Then yesterday, I met Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows I said, hi, Mark Meadows. My name's Rob. And he stopped me and he goes, "I know you, Rob Carson." I'm like, "Shut the front door." Rick Santorum, same thing. "Hey, I'm Rob Okay, you already know me. Great, fantastic. Then Dr. Oz. Met Oz, Dr. Oz in the hall. I'd met him before at the Christmas party. And I said, "Man, you are doing just a terrific job exposing all of this fraud." And I gave him one of my T-shirts, "Don't Catch the Stupid" shirts. I gave everybody one of my "Don't Catch the Stupid" shirts, and I explained why I came up with the expression "Don't catch the stupid." And he laughed out loud. He thought it was really funny. And I'm sharing this with you because I want to share this experience with you on a personal level. All the things that I just told you, you're not going to hear from news anchors. You're not going to hear from others. You're just going to hear it from this wide-eyed kid from Iowa who, after many years in broadcasting, now has a studio in the heart of the swamp. Unbelievable. Hour number 2 is going to be as epic or even more so than the first, if that's possible. Don't go anywhere.
don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, looking and sounding the same as we did last week, but now in the Newsmax studios in the heart of Washington, D.C. It's hard to believe. I remember Rush used to say that he didn't want to be a member of the cocktail set here in Washington, D.C. He didn't want to be part of the swamp. I am not becoming that, by the way. I'm never going to be part of the cocktail set because I don't drink cocktails. Not anymore, anyway. So there's no fear of that because the reason why I came here was because of you. And the reason why I came here was to bring you here. And so I'm never going to be anybody but who I am authentically as someone who is a Midwesterner by birth, someone who has been through many, many things in his life, has done many, many jobs, some of them very, very difficult physically to get here. But that's never going to change. But it's kind of like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Metallica style. That's what you're experiencing with me. And when I share these stories, like, for instance, of going to the United States Capitol on Monday, it's from the perspective of a wide-eyed kid from Iowa, because I've never stopped having a sense of wonder, and I never will. And yesterday, when I was introducing myself to different folks like Dr. Oz, I'm sure they look at me like, "Who is this guy?" I mean, I think the the energy is positive, and Dr. Oz was incredibly welcoming, especially when I said, "Dr. Oz, what? I got a T-shirt for you, man." He's like, "What? Okay." And I held up this shirt that says, "Don't catch the stupid." And I explained why I came up with the expression, "Don't catch the stupid." And I stood 6 feet away from him, and I said, "You remember back in 2020 when the government said if I stand this far away from you, you'd be perfectly fine and you'd live?" And then I stepped a couple feet closer to him, and I said, "And then they said if I stood this close to you, you'd die?" And he goes, "Oh my God, yes." And then he mentioned he was in a congressional hearing or an interview the other day, and he said, "You can't fix stupid." He relayed that after I gave him the T-shirt that said, "Don't catch the stupid." I have a funny feeling I'm the only radio and TV personality to ever give him a T-shirt. It was funny. And then Nick Shirley was here. Nick Shirley just walking around, and I said, "Man, you're just kicking butt. You're just doing a great job." And he's kind of in a fog. It's interesting because he had this phalanx of security people, including this one dude. He looks like he should be on, American Chopper, And, I mean, tattoos everywhere and all this, and he's part of the security. I'm not even going to mess with him. But to talk to Nick Shirley briefly, and listen, he didn't give me a lot of time because he's so bloody busy and he's being confronted by everybody. But that's fine. That's perfectly fine. And then, of course, Mark Meadows, had a delightful conversation with Mark Meadows and Rick Santorum yesterday. It was just cool. And again, I'm bringing this. I share this from the perspective of a wide-eyed kid from Iowa. I don't talk about, well, I discussed whatever policy with whoever, whatever. No, I'm not here for that. I'm here to connect in a different fashion. And I'm going to tell you right now that very soon we're going to have guests seating in this studio, and we're going to grab people down the hall and we're going to sit them down and we're going to talk about not only policy but also just about other stuff. Talking about, I don't even care. We'll talk about all sorts of stuff, but it's going to be definitely different than anything Washington, D.C. has experienced before. When I moved here and I put all my stuff a year ago in a U-Haul trailer behind my Bronco, like a college kid moving out of the dorms for the first time to his first job. I said I was going to make a noise. They couldn't ignore, and we're doing that. And guess what? We haven't even turned up the volume yet. Oh, the volume is coming. So did you hear about the magic fart? I know I normally don't use that word, but everybody else is using it. I said, what the heck? Why not use the word magic fart? Apparently, Chuck Schumer yesterday released one on Capitol Hill. He was speaking. I have not been able to detect the offending gaseous emission, but here is Chuck Schumer yesterday. And the reason why I'm calling it the magic fart is because I couldn't hear it. And it's kind of akin to the grassy knoll. Maybe it was somebody from the third row up in the Senate who did it. It could be like the grassy knoll or the assy knoll, as the case may be. Here is the Chuck Schumer, I guess, releasing gaseous emissions yesterday on Capitol Hill.
And we need a complete investigation that's independent. Now on Iran and the NDAA, when all the Trump administration,
there it is. Did you hear it? Hold on, I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. I'm going to crank it. Try not to make this. Here it is.
The NDAA.
There, right there. I'm going to crank it up a little bit more. Here we go. That's the fart right there. Wow, that's amazing. That is it right there. So it's either emanating from Chuck Schumer or from what we'll call the assy knoll, which could be 3 rows up in the Senate chambers. Everybody's talking about Chuck Schumer letting one go. I mean, yeah, I know. Sometimes I have the sense of humor of a 14-year-old boy. No, actually, all the time I have the sense of humor of a 14-year-old boy. So Chuck Schumer, wasn't it Jerry Nadler, the Batman villain? Didn't he crank one? You do not want to be around when he lets one go. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard the forensic evidence. Rob Carson stopped the tape and turned up the volume just like a forensic scientist and discovered the actual sound of the gaseous emission from the rear end of Chuck Schumer, which he was able to pass gas yesterday because for once he didn't have his head up there blocking it. So that was kind of cool. Donald Trump yesterday did an interview with Trey Yingst about what's going on in Iran because we are doing, unofficially, it's called Operation B-Slap. It's called Operation B-Slap. It's going to be going on for a while. Here is Donald Trump talking about this and how the Iranians just lie.
Was there a specific piece of intelligence that made you decide to launch this operation?
Well, it was specific in the sense that it just never stops. And they're going to go forward, and they wanted a nuclear weapon. We knew they wanted a nuclear weapon. If they have a nuclear weapon, Israel wouldn't be here. Look,
they said they didn't want a nuclear weapon.
Well, they say that. Everything they say is a lie. They lie. I've never seen anything like it.
It's like Joe Biden.
They also
it's like Barack Obama.
Come out and they'll tell you we never discussed nuclear, and we're in a room for 5 hours. That's all we discussed.
Yeah, I know.
And they'll walk out and say, nuclear was not discussed. Everything was discussed ad nauseum. They were going to have a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. Had we not done the B-2 bombers, had we not bombed their nuclear sites, their 3 nuclear sites, and there's another one we're looking at right now, as you know.
That is cool. Then there's Pickaxe Mountain. Pickaxe Mountain is this place where all the nuclear dust is, and here is the president talking about that.
We're looking at Pickaxe because somebody said there's a little activity. We have cameras, Space Force. We have cameras that are
everywhere.
They can read the badge. They can read your name, probably Mohammed. They can read your name.
That's probably got Mohammed on it.
Name and a badge from space.
I'm saying there's about a 95% chance the name Mohammed's going to be on that badge.
And every area of Pickaxe, but the other 3 are covered.
But specifically on
if they make any move, we immediately go and do whatever we have to do. But they haven't. They were so decimated.
Some weapons experts say that the United States doesn't have the ability to strike deep enough with these bunker buster bombs at Pickaxe Mountain.
They can go deep. We have good stuff.
Yep.
Nobody knows about Pickaxe. By the way, nobody knows if they even are doing anything in Pickaxe. It's just something that comes up. We have cameras on it. There's very little activity there. But if there's even just a small amount, we'll hit it.
Yeah, and also Donald Trump has basically resumed the Strait of Hormuz naval blockade, so Iran's not going to get any goods. They're not going to be able to sell any goods. And Jim Gossett did this as Louis Armstrong on the Rob Carson Show. Genius.
We got a right to block Hormuz.
Come on.
We got a right to shut it down. Iran's leader is a clown. They're in clear violation.
He's a gay clown, actually. Made of cardboard. Yeah.
It is safe to assume the bombing will resume.
Oh, we're going to bomb the snot out of them.
All Iran will see is misery. We will take out power plants. Card Island we will see.
Yeah, baby.
You'll see it on the news. We got a right to block.
Wow. That is the great Jim Gossett. My goodness. And nobody does comedy like Jim Gossett in this here radio program. You can support him by going to patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy, patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. On the way, talking about this new Democrat Socialist of America nonsense, a wealthy investor and podcast host reveals what cured him of his Trump derangement syndrome, and Apple and Google suppressed negative Graham Plattner stories for months on their news platforms. That's coming up. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Deported. Deported. Deported.
Get them out. Ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Deported. Deported. Deported.
them out. Ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Get the hell out of here.
PM and 99.9 FM in Harford County.
Got a special rejoin here.
Oh!
Kind of for Chuck Schumer.
Well, anyway, today I just stick to real estate. You know, with the market these days, if you own anything but land, you own a popcorn farm. Oh, somebody's stepping a duck.
I sounded like Chuck Schumer. That's Brian, our producer at WCBM in Baltimore, who has the, like me, a head full of useless knowledge, but every once in a while, it's like, oh, you know what? I just thought of a movie soundbite about farting. That's you asked me to quote, whatever, the Constitution. No, but I can tell you, in the movie, whatever. Which one was that? Was that Old School?
Caddyshack.
That was Caddyshack. I should know. Oh my God! I just embarrassed myself. Any man in good standing, whether you be like Gen X or Boomer, you would know that movie. That's from Caddyshack. You should be able to quote everything from that movie. Thank you, Brian. Brian sure knows how to class up the joint, don't he? He really does. It's just hilarious. So I thought this was kind of interesting, and I think you're going to see a little bit more of this as the Democrat Party continues to disintegrate. And it is disintegrating. I realize that these Democrat Socialists of America, appear to be formidable, but they're not. They're a bunch of little children. They're a bunch of little children. And you see, the thing is, many of you actually took up arms against evil, whether that be Al-Qaeda or others in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, maybe against communism in Korea, some of you older folks, maybe in Vietnam and all of this. And now these little jackasses who have no life experience think they're going to come along with their 12 years of college, their $250,000 worth of student loan debt, and no freaking job, and they're going to take over our country, get rid of the Senate. We will so kick your rear ends clean up between your shoulders, you won't even know what the hell hit you. And I'm telling you, and I told you, hillbillies, homeboys, and Hebrews, we've had enough of this nonsense. And you're flexing your supposed muscle with your flaccid little arms that can barely lift up you can't even lift a venti from Starbucks because you're so friggin' weak. You got to go with a little Grandy from Starbucks. You're so friggin' weak, and you're still wearing masks at your meetings, and you have purple hair, and you're non-binary. You think you're going to beat us hillbillies and homeboys? You're out of your little nuts, all right? It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna friggin' happen. And as Donald Trump continues through his term here, and as we maintain and even gain seats in both houses of Congress, you're going to start hearing more of this. This is Shamath. I'm going to try and pronounce this, guys. Palihapitiya. Nailed it. Palihapitiya. I'm going to go with that. He is an investor, manages portfolios worth billions of dollars, co-hosts All In podcast with David Sachs, Trump's Bitcoin czar, and he says that he's been lied to, and it just clicked about his TDS.
That
Let's
most
start
of
that
us
again.
were
Here
lied.
it is.
The reality is that most of us were lied to by the media about President Trump. And if you just go back to the source
and they're still lying to everyone about Donald Trump
material, you should take away two things. One, he didn't say half the things he said. And two, why did these other people just fabricate what they wanted to say so that they could essentially assassinate his character?
And attempt to assassinate him now 4 times.
I think that second thing is completely unacceptable in America. And there's still been no repercussions, really. I took the time to learn about it. I admitted the way that I met him was I admitted on the pod, which, has millions of viewers. And I said, I got it totally wrong. Because I went and I watched Charlottesville. And the first person to call me?
Who was it?
President Trump.
Yeah.
And I got to know him, and I put the phone down. I called my wife, and I said, we got it totally, totally wrong. We were lied to. And then I got to know him, and he is fantastic.
And after all of this, and this is going to continue to grow. I told you this after the election. Freedom, patriotism was going to spread throughout the globe, and one of the last bastions of this nonsense is these Democrat-run population centers like New York City, because every time socialism wins in a state or a city like that, everybody leaves. And it was also completely wrecked in the 2024 election. We left it behind. But these stupid children with no life experience think they're going to reinvent the wheel and all of this nonsense. Here are some of the extreme ideas of these children who we are going to spank. I mean, I honestly, certainly at the ballot box, but if need be, there are other ways, because we aren't going to allow this nonsense to happen. Abolish the Senate and the Electoral College. Ain't going to happen. Abolish the police and prison. My God, you ought to be just having your birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, for God's sake. You have no business naming. You're in the position to demand nothing. And by the way, what I've already covered here is unconstitutional. If you become a member of Congress, you must swear to uphold the Constitution. If you foment or forward these, your ass needs to be kicked out of Congress. You cannot be sworn into Congress. And I'm going to tell you, there are millions of us who will make sure that doesn't happen. We move on. Dismantle ICE and end all deportations. Replace capitalism, private property, and social ownership. Really? You and what army? Nationalize key industries and utilities. This is seditious treason. This is not a party platform. This is a party that cannot exist in America. This movement cannot be allowed to go forward. Establish a unified public banking system. Again, bat guano crazy communist nonsense. Cancel all student and medical debt. That would cause massive collapses of industries, including the healthcare system. Nationalize fossil fuel companies. That would mean they would shut down fossil fuels altogether. Support for global BDS movement against Israel. And of course, on top of everything else, they are anti-Semites. There you go. On top of every other thing, they are anti-Semites. They are not going to succeed. Here is Jesse Waters, and this isn't a movement. This is the declaration of war. This is a declaration of war, because we aren't going to let this succeed.
We designed a system, a machine, over the course of the last half century to make it more difficult to build. It was intentionally designed. It wasn't by chance. It wasn't by happenstance. It was designed not to build.
The communists don't want to build. They want to destroy and punish the people who built this country. And if you challenge them, you're a racist. This isn't a political party. It's a tantrum. And if it's not contained, it'll get violent. So protect yourself.
This is not a game. Everybody needs to understand these crazy little mini Mamdanis who are popping up all around the country, they are a danger to you and your family. This is not a game. This is essential for your well-being and your family.
They have declared war on the country, and we will respond however we need to. Let's take a break and come back. Gordon Chang joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, two things matter most: that it works and that you can trust it. Jim ran out of Relief Factor twice. Both times his ache, stiffness, and pain came back. Once he restarted again, he says he felt better again. You know something's working when you run out of it. I started taking Relief Factor 6 months ago. I ride 30 miles on a Saturday morning on my mountain bike and lift weights every other day, and I feel great. People like Jim make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor help you tackle your daily aches and pains. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Simply go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. They will do everything they can to help. We hope you'll be sharing your story with us too. 800-4RELIEF or relieffactor.com.
Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
No one has seen him for ages. It has been 6 months or longer. His country just keeps getting weaker, while America gets stronger. Khomeini, what happened to you, Khomeini? Could it be a through? Well, just maybe you are no longer around.
A lot of people are saying that he's badly disfigured. Other people are saying he's dead.
They are saying you were injured, but that somehow you're still breathing. When you see Iran's destruction, bet that it has you seething. Khomeini, future is dim. Khomeini, missing a limb. Khomeini, will we ever see you again?
Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson.
Do you really believe in open borders and not having deportations? That's just incredibly contrary to law enforcement and security.
America has a really long history of welcoming working class immigrants.
But we have criminal illegal aliens in the country. Don't they need to be removed?
We believe that demilitarizing the border, that violent oppression of working class immigrants who come here, is not something that most Americans want.
So you can break into the country, rape and kill us, and stay for free. That's what ancient civilizations used to call war. But borders are just the start. Next up, police. They don't want to just defund a few million here and there. They want to take the budget down to zero. No police, because the criminals, they're not who we think they are.
Why is it so difficult to understand that in the future we might need less policing in the future? We actually would like our justice system to handle a real cause of crime in the country. People in the billionaire class are getting away with terrible crimes against many Americans because they're profiteering on things like
these are the
healthcare.
voices of the indoctrinated Democrat Socialists of America. Gordon Chang, by the way, at Gordon G. Chang on the Newsmax, expert on all things China, author of some terrific books, including The Coming Collapse of China. Gordon Chang, first of all, welcome to the show. This is the first time you're on the air here from my studio. I mean, you're not here, but my new studio in the Newsmax building in the heart of Washington, D.C.
Congratulations. That's terrific.
It was quite a move. But you know what I find ironic is you've got a bunch of idiotic students who've been indoctrinated in American institutions with Chinese propaganda, yet in 1989, it was students that led the freedom movement that the communist Chinese crushed. Isn't that kind of ironic?
Well, it certainly is ironic. And by the way, after the Cold War, we just sort of forgot about educating our children. So really, this is on us.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you have all of this occurring? Well, we were in control, and we just completely failed to teach the Cold War and America. So we are now suffering from our failure in the past.
I want you to listen to this supposed leader. I think he's 12 years old, Sheikh Ridik or whatever. It should be ridiculous. Talking about how we fell for the propaganda about socialism and communism. It really wasn't murderous, and it didn't leave 100 million people in body pits.
So there's been a lot of propaganda since the Cold War and Red Scares in the United States, where very powerful people in the United States felt threatened by the politics we represent. So that's why, a lot of people never learned about the history of democratic socialists in the United States, and that it was organized workers who pushed for things like a 40-hour work week or ending child labor. And these are things that are part of the legacy of democratic socialism in this country, and that's really against nationalism and fascism.
Yeah, again, nonsense, absolutely nonsense. They want to get rid of the Defense Department. They want to get rid of police. They want to get rid of prisons. They want to get rid of the Senate. They want to make the presidency elected by members of the House. I mean, honestly, first of all, it's not going to fly. But, I mean, these are ridiculous demands from children, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think?
Oh, certainly. And we got to remember that although it seems inconceivable that these guys could take power, you look at the surveys that show that socialism is favored by a majority of younger age cohorts in our country, who eventually one day will get into the age where they will be senators, they will be presidents, Supreme Court justices. So this is an existential crisis for us.
Yeah.
Remember, there are a lot of democracies that voted themselves into dictatorships, into communism. So let's remember that as we think about how we're going to deal with this.
Well, I think we should treat it as someone declaring war on our country. That's what I think. This is a seditious movement. It cannot be allowed to stand. These people cannot be sworn into Congress because they are swearing with their movement they will not uphold the Constitution and America as founded. This includes the three branches of government. And so I don't think we will get to the point of a physical conflict, but certainly this, as far as I'm concerned, is a declaration of war on the United States by children who have no concept of how to wage one.
Well, first of all, we have got to take back the educational process, which is going to be difficult because of the teachers' unions and things. But also, we got to remember that Justice Jackson said that the Constitution is not a suicide pact. And what that means in practice is that there are times when First Amendment protections are going to be narrowed, where the government can start restricting speech, which you couldn't do at other times.
Yes.
So remember that we have to, and this is very difficult for Americans to accept, but there are going to be times, and this looks like one of them, where we are going to have to accept more government restrictions. I know a lot of people don't want to do it, but this is an existential crisis because, as you point out, democratic socialists mean to destroy our country.
Well, fomenting revolutionary sedition is not protected speech. Those are words of war. Okay, it's not a war of words. Those are words of war. When you say you are going to overthrow our country as founded, those are words of war, sir.
Yes. Well, in the 2020 election, tomorrow President Trump's going to give a speech,
yes,
which will include foreign interference in the 2020 election.
Yes.
You got to remember that in the 2020 election, China openly and surreptitiously fomented violence on American streets.
Yes.
And this should never have been permitted. It was, during the Biden administration, that was during the first Trump administration. During the Biden administration, they continued that lax policy towards China's infiltration of our political system. In the second Trump administration, this is not going to stand. And we have got to start moving against, for instance, communist China, which has been fomenting violence, which, by the way, if it's done by a college student, that's crime. If it's done by a foreign country, that's an act of war.
100%. Marco Rubio plans a high-level meeting focused on far-left terrorism. 60 countries represented, expected to attend, and this sounds like a way they're going after not only Antifa, but possibly also people like Neville Singham, who is a tool of the Chinese Communist Party, and George Soros as well. So this is kind of a whole-earth approach to this, and maybe just the beginning of what is a war against this leftism that has infiltrated countries around the world. What do you think?
Absolutely. We know that, well, Neville Roy Singham's an American citizen.
Yes.
So he has First Amendment rights.
Yes.
But he does not have a First Amendment right to not register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA. And he also doesn't have a First Amendment right to try to surreptitiously funnel money into the U.S., violating banking laws. And we know that he has been working with the Communist Party's United Front Work Department, which is the part of the ruling organization that subverts foreign governments. So he has obligations which he has broken a number of laws to go after him.
Now, he's an American citizen living in China. I would assume, I'm not going to hold my breath about his extradition, but because he is an American citizen on foreign soil, that's going to not only mean far-reaching charges, possibly, maybe even bordering on espionage, but don't you suppose the possibility of diplomatic pressure to get him extradited might happen?
Maybe.
No,
we do not have an extradition treaty with China.
I got you.
Because we don't want the Chinese reaching into our country.
I know.
But if Singham actually travels outside China, and if he travels to a country where we do have an extradition treaty, then we can grab him. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be important for us. So we need to watch his movements. Right. That means he's probably not going to leave his home in Shanghai. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, we can go after the people he works with who are in our country, because we know that from Fox News reporting how extensive Singham's network is.
Absolutely. Gordon Chang, we got to take a break and come back. I got a couple things I want to cover on the other side of the break, including China's economy slowing down, and also Christian persecution in China is on the upswing. Cover those things on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show. yes.
So you preferred your pronouns to be they and them? They, them. Okay. So, do you need me to explain how to use that? Nope, because I'm not going to.
You know, yesterday on Capitol Hill, the chancellor of UC San Francisco, the chancellor of the university, couldn't say that only women can have babies.
Of course, the vast majority of pregnancies are in women, and I have absolutely no problem with using the word pregnant women. I use it myself.
Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
A transgender person can.
That's not a biological woman. Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
I would reiterate, we
it's
take
ridiculous.
You know, we were talking about higher education, Gordon Chang. You got the chancellor of a university saying that most pregnancies happen with biological women. I mean, what the hell? If you would have dropped us on the planet 30 years ago and heard that, you would have said, how does he have a job in higher education, Gordon Chang?
Yeah, this is Maoism. You know, this is, you have to go back to some of the darkest periods in the history of the People's Republic to find statements like this.
Oh.
And this is because of, I don't know, you know, just to me it's incomprehensible.
I know.
But there are certain facts. People can have different political opinions, but there are facts. And if you don't acknowledge facts, you're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, well, this is very, very eye-opening because it showed us that despite the fact we live in the freest country in the world, people can still be brainwashed like they were in communist China, like they were in the Soviet Union. It's really quite frightening. I mean, we looked at this Democrat Socialist of America meeting the other day, and three-fourths of the people sitting in the crowd were still wearing freaking surgical masks. I mean, mission accomplished communist China.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And you see people in their own cars with masks.
I know.
Which is incomprehensible.
I always, I like to play with people when I'm in a grocery store. And, you know, I mean, there are obvious signs of when people are sick and they have to wear a surgical mask. But I see a healthy young person with his girlfriend wearing a surgical mask. I immediately say, oh, my God, is there another strain of COVID I didn't know about? Should I be wearing a mask? And they look at me like, you know, and the other people around me either look really, if I'm in Whole Foods, they all give me a dirty look. If I'm anywhere else, they kind of chuckle.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things is that because people have this aversion to germs, those kids are not resilient to the germs existing in our world.
Yeah.
And you have some older people like me who probably have a lot more resistance to COVID because we grew up with dirt.
I know.
We ate dirt.
I know. We did.
It is, you know. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I know.
The point is,
no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to other stuff. It's just it is utterly ridiculous. It is as they say, those who are made to believe absurdities will commit atrocities, and that has been that way for forever. And unfortunately, I couldn't believe it could happen in America, but lo and behold, it did. I want to move on here. A lot of articles on the persecution of the Christians in China. What is this all about? Why is this sudden? I know they've got the Uyghurs who are Muslims, but apparently there's a movement against Christians going on in China right now.
Yes. Well, since 2016, Xi Jinping has had a program of Sinicization of religion. And that means with regard to Catholics and Protestants, it means replacing images of Jesus Christ with those of Xi Jinping, changing sermons so that they promote atheism. This is across the board. China has a complicated religious situation. It has 5 official churches. 2 of them are Christian. 1 Catholic, 1 Protestant. But you also have the unofficial churches, both Catholic and Protestant. And yes, Xi Jinping has been able to control the official churches because they are basically instrumentalities of the state. He has had a difficult time, especially with what's the so-called house Protestants. In other words, Protestants don't pray in big churches, even unofficial churches.
Yes.
But pray at home.
Yes.
And there's something like 115 million Protestants, it is believed. We don't know the real number, but the point is they're persecuted, so they hide. Because they hide, they can't be counted. But they are in the tens of millions.
Yeah,
and Beijing doesn't know what to do with them.
Yeah, well, it's this is why they keep pictures of the dear leader in every home in North Korea. China's economic expansion has slowed more quickly than expected amid a $1.5 trillion campaign aimed at tackling hidden local government debt. A lot of these things are coming to bear on China. The manufacturing leaving China, coming back to America, among other things, tariffs and whatnot, and then of course the United States essentially controlling the flow of oil internationally. Do you suppose the feces is hitting the fan in China economically?
Well, it is. I mean, just today, China's National Bureau of Statistics announced that the economy grew 4.3% in the second quarter of this year. That was below expectations. And that 4.3% number, even though more realistic, is probably well into the real growth rate.
Yeah,
Nobody knows the real growth rate.
It's certainly not 4.3%. They're lying about their population numbers. I'm sure they're lying about their economic growth numbers. I'll bet it's half of what they're saying, to be quite honest.
Or it could even be contraction. We have signs of contraction in China. Right. People can reasonably argue that there's 1 or 2% growth.
All right.
But 4.3% feels high.
Yeah. We've got to go because your phone is kind of cracking up a little bit. Gordon Chang, thank you as always. You're fantastic to have on the show. Gordon G. Chang on X. Make it a favorite. Follow him, and you will get copious amounts of information about China and elsewhere on that X site. Thanks for joining me, Gordon. Have a glorious rest of your week, okay, sir?
Thank you so much, Rob.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. Hi, kids. How are you? I was worried about today's show because I was an hour and a half in traffic, and I got here late, and we still hadn't everything turned on and plugged in, and I was freaking out, and we managed to get it done. So thanks for being here, and thanks for watching. Wild Bill West, Shuttered. Hello, Shuttered. Good to see you there. Sport Tech and Valentina and GJ Gary. Thanks for being here. You're the best. You mean a lot to me. Scott Davies, Abalone, Susan Gibbs. Hello. Yeah, Jim Gossett does a good Louis Armstrong, doesn't he? Karen Sharkey, hi. How are you? Good to see you today. Thanks for watching. Let's look over on the Facebook. Sometimes I have a hard time loading Facebook. I don't know the deal with Facebook. Sometimes Facebook's kind of a pain in the butt. But anyway, like I said, glad to have you watching today. It's just been a real. I haven't had a chance to settle in and breathe here in the new building, but we're getting there. And it's going to be awesome. All right. Oh yeah. Let me find a couple things here real quick. I apologize. Pardon me. I gotta prepare for the next break here. Pardon me. I'll do this next. Anyway, make sure to check all my. Big news! You hear about this? Mike Lindell has Donald Trump's endorsement for Minnesota governor. That's kind of a big deal because Michelle Tafoya is running up there as well. I wonder if Tafoya will say, obviously she'll continue to the primary, but it sounds like Lindell could certainly own the primary. Here we go.
At 250 here.
A little Led Zeppelin for you. There's always room for Zeppelin. So Donald Trump says he has completed total backing for Mike Lindell as governor of the state of Minnesota. Michelle Tafoya also running up there. And, of course, primary coming up, I'm guessing. I haven't had a chance to see when the primary is. But Lindell sounds like it could be the guy with Trump's endorsement. That's, it's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal in Minnesota. And it's hard to say, Democrats in Minnesota are like the frogs in the boiling water. And you got to kind of wonder if certainly in the hinterlands of all this corruption with the Somali clearing centers and whatnot, Is Minnesota ready for a change? Is the corruption in Minnesota at Twin Cities voting, has it been interrupted enough to allow free and fair elections and allow a Republican to win? I don't know. We'll find out. But I have a slogan for him. Suffocate the Democrat Party with a My Pillow. Yeah, how about that? I think that'd be pretty good. This year, suffocate the Democrat Party in Minnesota. It's the Democrat Farmers and Laborers Party. I mean, it's like Hammer and Sickle City. Suffocate the DFL with a My Pillow. Vote Mike Lindell. I get a kick out of me. So, our foundation was strong and has been, and it is challenged occasionally. We will suffocate the Democrat Socialists of America, but we started off with this financial system set up by Hamilton, and it became the gold standard, which was gotten rid of in 1971. I decided this last year, to take some money that I had in a 401k from selling cars and go with Birch Gold. I've been endorsing Birch Gold. I finally had the money there. I'm saying it wasn't performing. I mean, it was a flatline for years. What the heck? Who designed this program? It was terrible. So I called Birch Gold, and I texted my name, Rob, to 989898, got information, and then pulled the trigger. Yeah, and so I'm letting it ride. If you want to shore up the foundation for your financial well-being, consider precious metals as a part of it, and consider Birch Gold. Birch Gold is the gold standard, and if you want to get information about doing that, text my name, Rob, to 989898, Rob, to 989898. 5-star rating for the Better Business Bureau, and they've got my money. Birch Gold. Text Rob to 989898 today. On the other side of the break, the third hour of the Rob Carson Show from the heart of the swamp, Newsmax Studios. Don't go anywhere.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
And funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, broadcasting from the Newsmax studios in downtown Washington, D.C. on 14th Street, within a stone's throw of the U.S. Capitol, if you can throw a stone a mile and a half. It's it's crazy. It's just crazy. I will tell you, the last couple of days have been absolute chaos. I'm just going to be honest. It's been absolute chaos. There are days, and listen, nothing that I've experienced in the last 4 days has been life-threatening, but at the same time, really challenging. And sometimes you wonder why, some people, just luck into things, I had a good friend, Jim Bohannon, passed away a few years ago. He's a legendary broadcaster. And with his career, he said, I just kind of lucked into it, Rob. I lucked into it, and I got this career, and I ended up this and that, and it just happened for me. And for me, it's never been that way. It's always been a mother scratcher. It just has. It has. There's never a point where I can just breathe. There's never been a point that I could just breathe. But I never stop fighting, and I never stop doing show prep. Last night I was so exhausted when I got home because I'd been here all day trying to build this physical plant of the studio, fix all of the technical issues we're having with IP addresses and the stream and all this. And when I got home last night at 7:30, I was exhausted. And normally I do a bunch of show prep, watch 4 different channels at once, stop and start it, record audio, print off articles and all this. And I just went to bed at 8 o'clock. But I set my alarm for 2 o'clock to do show prep. And I got up at 2 o'clock this morning, and I did 3-4 hours of show prep, and then I set the alarm again for 7. And then got up, went through an hour and 45 minutes of traffic today. For some reason, 14th Street was shut down, and very frustrating at times. And you know what I'm talking about. There are days that you get very frustrated, and I certainly was feeling some of that. But the great thing is there are people here who are working to make this show successful. It's not just me. There is a team of people who I will never take for granted that they're putting in a great deal of effort to make sure that this show succeeds. And so I will never forget that. This is not a one-man show. It's never been a one-man show. The show's not been about me. It's about us. It's about you and me. It's about us coming together. It's about serendipity. It's about providence. It is. I still believe it from the depths of my soul. But there are days you feel kind of like maybe you're being tested to see if you'll break. And there've been that. It's been that way a few times for the last few months, And when I was drinking and I was struggling and asking God to let me die in my sleep years ago, so the kids would get the insurance, because I wasn't going to end my own life. It was funny because I didn't want to end my life because the kids wouldn't get the life insurance. How screwed up is that? And I remember I used to blame God. I would, normally I pray about an hour every night before I go to sleep. I've got a long prayer, and I've been doing it since I was, 7 or 8 years old. And when I was struggling, I literally would be laying in bed and I would sign the cross and I'd put my hands together and I'd just turn on my side and say, screw it. It's not going to help me. You're not going to help me. So why in the hell am I even bothering? And then I realized it wasn't him doing it. It was the forces of darkness doing it. Think about that if you're struggling right now. God doesn't do this. God doesn't say to you, I'm going to challenge you to see if you still believe in me. God isn't going to do that. God, loves you, expects you to adhere to the rules for humanity that keep us human and to adore him. He wouldn't do that to his children. You don't do that to your children. You don't say, I'm going to kick you out of your apartment and you're going to be homeless under a bridge just to test you. So there you go. I'm done with my preaching. I know it sounds a little preachy, but there are days, and you know what I'm talking about. Just realize it's not God putting you through it. All right. Yesterday, one of the best compliments I can get, and I've always been, even when I was in high school, like for instance, I was the basketball manager. Now, why was I the basketball manager? Because was I not athletic? No, because I wanted to be a motivator for our teams, and I did, and that's what I do. We'd go into the locker rooms before the game, and I'd have them pounding on the lockers and chanting and all of this, and we terrified our opponents with this. And when we got out there, I was the biggest cheerleader for that team, and I motivated them. That was what I was there for. I actually was the first male cheerleader in my high school class because I saw these cheerleaders in college. They're badass guys throwing girls in the air and getting the crowd fired up, and I decided to do it. And I went through a lot of crap, dude. You have no idea. I got threatened. I got made fun of by entire opposing crowds, but I did it anyway because I wanted to be there to inspire people as best I can. Maybe it was misguided, but that's what it was. And I've tried to do that my entire career. And the only times that I haven't been able to do that is when I was going through hell. But yesterday I'm here at the office, and someone said, I love your positive energy. When I got here a couple days ago, I brought in jars of my pickled jalapenos. They're the best jalapeno peppers you've ever had. Who in the hell comes in and says, hey, do you like spicy food? Yes, I do. Can I bring you some of my jalapenos? Oh my God. We had 5 or 6 people in the kitchen opening a bag of Sun Chips, people trying my peppers. They'd never seen anybody like this before. Today I brought in some smoked salmon for Don Brown, the engineer who we engineered the studio. I smoked the salmon yesterday or this morning to bring in to kind of give it to him, and it's because I don't know. I don't have time for negativity. I don't have time to suffer fools. I don't have time to suffer fools, and you shouldn't either. And when you get down, just try to keep that in your mind. That's the forces of darkness bringing you down, not the forces of good. The forces of darkness bring you down. But I'm even when I get down, and I'll tell you what, doing the show yesterday, it was a Charlie Foxtrot from hell. We couldn't get the stream working. The sound was terrible. The video was terrible. I had moved the studio Friday. I moved my studio that I built for 10 months, thousands of dollars of my own money. I had to tear it down and move it here. Then rebuild it in a little space. And Monday was a real challenge, and Tuesday was a really challenge. And today, Don and the team got it going, and we still have some stuff. But man, I just know that great things are coming. I know they are. And I was talking to Don today about it. Don said, oh, Rob, I can tell. I can feel it. Things are coming, man. He knew it. He felt it. And I believe it. So there you go. There's my little inspirational talk for today. Now I'm going to play you your favorite production element on this radio program.
We love to win. Winning, so much winning. It's lots of winning.
Lots of winning.
It's oh so good.
Hold on a second. CNBC says the consumer price index was negative 0.4, the biggest, I'm talking like a Democrat, the biggest negative drop in a very long time. Here is CNBC with the report about the things becoming cheaper.
Here we go. This is our June release of the consumer price index, expecting a headline number to be negative 0.1%.
Yeah.
This is 4 times more negative.
What?
Minus 0.4%. That would be the biggest negative drop that we've seen since 420.
420, dude. It's like the most negative drop since 420.
Since basically COVID timing, which really affected, of course, all of the inflation data points.
Yeah.
So that goes back, basically 6-year low.
6-year low. I know. Sucks to be you, don't it, Democrats? It totally sucks to be you because things are really working. And no matter how much caterwauling you do, and no matter how much hate you spread, and no how much you try to, wreck the reflecting pool or whatever you decide to do, you know what? We are going to overwhelm you with joy, and we are going to overwhelm you with successful economic policies, unlike Joe Biden. Here is Kevin Hassett talking about all the economists who are wrong.
Sure, energy prices have come down a lot, but everything else is going down too. And I think that's why, if you look at Bloomberg, they surveyed 67 economists, and 67 economists got it wrong because they didn't understand that it wasn't just about energy.
Yeah.
It's about all these other things that President Trump is doing to cut costs.
Yeah, deregulation is a really big thing. Cutting the taxes are a really big thing. Right now, if you're building a business, all of your capital investment in your new plant is completely, you can write it off now. You can write it off now. I talk to people in Ubers. Hey, what do you think about this? No taxes on tips. Oh, my God, it's glorious. What about Social Security? No tax on Social Security. And the Democrat Party says nothing positive about it. I said that we would have to perform in a vacuum of positive news from the press. And guess what? It's happening no matter what they say negatively. It's happening anyway because policy overcomes propaganda. That's it. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
WCBM.
Have a rejoin.
If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head.
That's the President of the United States. Thank you very much. Talking about bombing the snot out of Operation B-Slap is what they're calling what we're doing to Iran right now. It's kind of cool. And I'm hoping and praying that we will see the fall of the Islamist regime. That's what I've been praying for most of my adult life. That's what I have predicted years ago. You know this if you listen to the show, that you have predicted. I predicted years ago that the people of Iran and Persia would be free, and when they do, when Iran is free, and when they the IRGC is replaced, there's a little rug store and art store up on King Street run by some expats from Iran, and I'm going to go up there and give them all a bunch of high fives. They're really cool people. They made me feel more welcome than any business I probably have ever been in. I walk in, I welcome, come in. I'm like, okay, thanks, okay. And I turn and I see a framed picture of the Shah and a framed picture of his son. And I said, free Iran, free Persia. And they all just glad-handed me. I got a hug and the whole deal. And I'm going to go up there when the people of Persia are free again, because it's been a long time coming, baby. It's been a long time coming. I just occasionally sing. I do the same thing with my dog. Jack Smith obtained text messages from 44 members of Congress. Oh, man, would you just love to see that SOB go to jail. My Lord in heaven. Chuck Grassley reiterated a plan to call for Counsel Jack Smith to testify. He text messages to 44 members of Congress sent to senior White House officials during the final weeks of President Trump's first term. It was an all-out war. It was bigger than all the president's men. It was the biggest scandal. This is, and the Russia collusion, all of the weapons that the DOJ, the CIA, all of them weaponized against Donald Trump should be the biggest scandal in American history, no doubt whatsoever. And guess what? They all freaking failed. They all failed. This is why it is so serendipitous that Donald Trump is the President of the United States in the 250th year of our birth. And he went through all of the things that he had to get through, and we went through it too. They failed, guys. Our deep state threw everything at Donald Trump and us, and they failed. They failed. The latest exchange is part of a trove of materials from the National Archives turned over to Smith's team following a subpoena for White House records stretching from October 2020 to January 2021. Smith's top deputies received materials in August 2023, just weeks after securing a grand jury indictment against Trump. Isn't that amazing? One of those fake indictments of Donald Trump to try to take away his fortune and put him in jail for 700 years. You lost, sucker. And guess what? Now the feces is going to hit the fan for you. According to internal emails Grassley released Tuesday, indicated they were quickly preparing to share them with Trump's legal team as part of a pre-trial discovery process. Trump allies Grassley's released these materials part of a broader effort by him and other Trump allies to portray Smith as reckless, over-aggressive prosecutor in pursuit of criminal charges against Trump during the Biden administration, while many GOP lawmakers believe they were politically motivated. You know why we know they're politically motivated? Because what? Because we're not stupid. Because it's so freaking obvious. The newly disclosed records show that a wide range of lawmakers were communicating with the White House in the final months of the Trump's first term, from Grassley himself with 19 other senators to top House Republicans and then leader Kevin McCarthy. This is finding the man and we'll find the crime. Find the man, we'll find the crime. That's what they did when they raided Mar-a-Lago. Although that was just completely made up. Text messages were divulged to investigators as part of a potential breach of Congress constitutional speed or debate protection that prevents the executive branch from prying into lawmakers' legislative business. Speech or debate privilege is explicitly mentioned in the Constitution, part of the founders' effort to prevent the executive branch from using its prosecutorial power to bend legislators to its will. That's what they did. That's what these SOBs did. And of course, as the background behind me turns off, here is Jack Smith lying to Congress about this. Oh, let's try that again. Here is Jack Smith lying to Congress.
Did the toll records that you requested from the senators, did they include the content of the phone calls?
No.
Did the records that you requested, the toll records from the members of Congress, include the content of text messages?
No.
Yeah, he was lying. He was lying, and Jim Carson decided to write some comedy about it. You'll only hear it on the Rob Carson Show.
On senators, Jack Smith was spying. If he denies it, he is lying. Indictment sure would be a hopeful sign for crossing the line, line. Crossing the line. Jack has caused us great division. That's why he belongs in prison.
Oh, man.
Trump said one day justice will be mine.
Come on, baby, bring it. Bring it.
For crossing the line, line. Jack Smith spied in a courtroom should be tried.
Come on.
There is nowhere he can hide. He ought to face time.
Look at that boom.
For crossing the line, line. Crossing the line.
There you go. That is brand new from Jim Gossett. You can go to patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. And he produces 2 song parodies every day, by the way. He's brilliant. Even on Monday, I forgot to tell him that I was not going to be on Monday. And he went ahead and wrote some comedy anyway, sent me some other stuff. So there you go. There is that. Coming up, we've got a bunch of stuff, including Democrats, I should say Supreme Court justices on Capitol Hill talking about Democrats who have caused people who are otherwise unhinged to attack them personally, and they're asking for increased security because, did I mention, Democrats were actually causing people to go out and do unhinged things. It's called stochastic terror, by the way. And the Democrat Party has recognized that they can say things to reach an unhinged audience, and that unhinged audience will act on their tacit orders by saying that Donald Trump is a fascist, by saying that the Supreme Court is this, by saying you'll reap a whirlwind, etc. Susan Collins went after Chuck Schumer for doing that on Capitol Hill. I'm going to share the details on the other side of the break as we go into the last half hour of the Rob Carson Show. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, 2 things matter most: that it works and that you can trust it. I trust Relief Factor. We hear from people every single day whose lives have changed. And of course, we'd like you to hear a few of their stories. Mark, for instance, was in tears from his daily hand joint discomfort. But after a week on Relief Factor, he felt 50% better. Now he barely even notices any pain. I can attest to this. It used to hurt getting up and out of chairs or even off the bench press at the gym. Not so much anymore. People like Mark make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us a Relief Factor story and how it gave you your life back. 3 weeks now for just $17.76. Simply go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. They'll do everything they can to help. We hope you'll be sharing your story too. ReliefFactor.com or 800-4RELIEF.
It sucks to be you. Tom Massey, you're through. You're an anti-Semite. On Tuesday night, voters said adieu. Bill Cassidy, too. Bet he's feeling blue. Bill had to go. Voters told him no. From every bayou. Indiana was grand. it went just as planned. 7 rhinos were beat, payback complete, those traitors got canned. In Georgia, Raffensperger got beat. That's why they say revenge is sweet. It sucks to be you, miserable you. It sucks to be you.
The bottom line is this. Donald Trump is the general of the Republican Party, and the Republican primary voters are his soldiers.
MTG replaced. Herself, she's disgraced. Liz Cheney sent home from the Capitol dome. She got her due. That is why John Cornyn is vexed. He has to know that he is next. It sucks to be you, endangered you. It sucks to be you.
Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson. It is the Rob Carson Show, once again broadcasting from new studios in Washington, D.C. You know, I think it's serendipitous that I'm here in more ways than one. First day I come here, this guy here, his name is Khan, and I was talking to him a little bit. He said he was an expert on barbecue, and I said, really, barbecue? Okay. He says, yeah, man, I got a grill upstairs on the roof. I'm like, what, really? Well, it turns out he's an expert at grilling. I'm an expert at barbecue. And that said, he goes, you like cigars? I said, well, yeah, I have a cigar every few months. You know, I got a little humidor at home and everything. And he goes, there's a cigar lounge in the building, in the lower level of the building. There's a cigar lounge in the building! Oh, my gosh. Thank you. Thank you, God. Appreciate you. So yesterday, Ayanna Pressley, who is Lex Luthor's daughter, she was on Capitol Hill. They were talking, this idiotic DEI CRT nonsense, and she said that she called the GOP agenda anti-black, anti-immigrant, anti-LGBTQ, RSTUV, anti-worker, anti-veteran, anti-rural, whatever. She's a moron. And she has decided to reintroduce a pro-feminist equal rights amendment to combat what he called systematic gender discrimination. This is just so stupid. This is nonsensical. meanderings from a just a radical moron. The Equal Rights Amendment is a radical amendment ostensibly designed to give men and women equality under the Constitution, but in reality, it would unleash a series of potentially devastating consequences. You want to hear some of the nonsense involved with this new version of the ERA? Legalizing abortion on demand, prohibiting schools from allowing separate sex athletic teams. This is like the DSA's platform with all the idiocy on the Democrat Socialists of America platform. It's nonsensical. Get rid of the Senate. Get rid of electing the president. Let the House do it. It's just stupid. It's not going to happen. We'll go to war before that happens. Prohibit separate prisons for male and female prisoners. That's brilliant. That's definitely women's rights there. Yeah, definitely women's rights. Just call them rape palaces. How about that? Get rid of the separate prisons for male and female prisoners. Just call them rapatoriums. I think that would be good. You'll call them rapatoriums. There you go. Brilliant move. Ayanna Pressley. Prohibiting separate public restrooms for males and females. Requiring women to register for the draft. Requiring public funding for sex reassignment surgeries. This is brilliant. My God. Requiring doctors to provide puberty blockers to children who claim to have to identify as the opposite gender. Prohibit religious organizations from having single-sex membership. So basically say the Catholic Church has to change according to the government. Nonsense. I mean, insane Marxist nonsense. Brandon Gill yesterday, brilliant Brandon Gill, takes her to task, this Ayanna Pressley, and made her look like a complete fool when it comes to genders.
Enshrining it as the law of this land. And that is why I've introduced legislation to add the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment, enshrining it as the law of this land.
I'd be happy to look at your Equal Rights Amendment and read through it. I guess my biggest question was, does it define what a woman is? We'll take a look at it. I just was hoping for some analytical clarity, but thank you. We'll take a look at it.
He made her look like an idiot. Well, I mean, not really, because she is an idiot to begin with. But are you sure you want to do this? Because you don't know what. Are you sure you know what a woman is? I mean, how could you demand an equal rights for the sexes agenda when you don't know what a woman is and what a man is? And I mentioned this earlier. This is the university, the UC San Francisco chancellor. Listen to this yesterday on Capitol Hill. Chancellor of a major university. Okay. The first thing you learn when you're a toddler is that there's boys and girls. There's nothing ever wrong with that. It's boys and girls. Girls can be a little masculine, maybe tomboys. Boys can be a little feminine. That happens too. But you're still boys and girls. I call it the PP9 talk. It's the PP9 talk. And when my kids ask me, I said, well, if you're a boy, you have a PP, and if you're a girl, you have a nina. There you go, right there. We got the chancellor of UCSF saying that most pregnancies occur with women. Factually, this may come as a surprise to you, but all pregnancies happen with women. But this chancellor at the University of California, San Francisco, obviously his parents did not have the PP9 talk.
Of course, the vast majority of pregnancies are in women, and I have absolutely...
No. All of them. Girl, nina. Woman, nina. Adult, nina.
Of course, the vast majority of pregnancies are in women, and I have absolutely no problem with using the word pregnant women. I use it myself.
Oh my God. Oh, well, thank God you don't have a problem with saying pregnant woman, because they're the only people who can be pregnant. My God in heaven. This is higher education. Oh, please take your children out of higher education. Find something. Get them into trade school. If you have a child at this university, get them out of this university. You're wasting your money.
Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
A transgender person can.
That's not a biological woman. Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
I would reiterate, we
it's
take
ridiculous.
care.
It's ridiculous. Or ridiculous, depending on how you want to pronounce the word. I'm just saying how you pronounce the word. That's what I'm saying. But, yeah, the idea that a woman, most women can, or most births happen with women is ridiculous. All right, let's talk about other stuff. Yesterday on Capitol Hill, Amy Coney Barrett was one of the Supreme Court justices invited to talk about all of the violence from the left wing in America. It's all coming from the left wing in America. It's all because people like Democrats. Because Democrats do stuff like this. This is your Democrat Party.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there is unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rape.
I have dozens of montages of Democrats calling for violence. You had Chuck Schumer say, standing on the Supreme Court, you will reap the whirlwind if you get rid of Roe v. Wade. Here is Susan Collins yesterday, from Maine, by the way, and calling out Chuck Schumer for that.
For example, a senator stood in front of the Supreme Court building and called out two members by name, saying that they had released the whirlwind and that they will pay the price.
Yeah, Judge Kavanaugh, a guy, a left-winger, obviously inspired by Chuck Schumer, went to Judge Kavanaugh's home to murder him and was stopped.
Other public officials have called the out of control and serving an extremist agenda.
Yeah, it's called stochastic terror. And what it is, it's a way to get others to perform acts of violence that you want to see happen without you being able to be directly held accountable for it. The only... I would say it's kind of what happened with Chuck Manson and his followers, but they were able to actually call him responsible for it. But that's what they've done. This is why they called Donald Trump a fascist. This is why Joe Biden stood in front of the Independence Hall for no good reason other than to say Donald Trump was a MAGA fascist, enemy of democracy. The MAGA movement was the biggest enemy of democracy, whipping people to a frenzy. This is why the a-hole who shot Charlie Kirk is scribed with a Dremel fascist on the bullet, because Democrats have done this. On the other side of the break, I'll play some of the testimony from Amy Coney Barrett. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
They have required me to, my children, to think about and see things that children should not have to see or think about. One example is when threats to my life were particularly intense a few years ago, around the time of the Dobbs leak. My security detail sent me home with a bulletproof vest, and I carried it into my house, put it into my bedroom, dropped it down on a table, turned around, and my 12-year-old son was standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and he wanted to know what it was and why I had it, and I didn't know how to respond because maybe I lack imagination, but I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one.
Yep, that's your Democrat Party. They did this again. They've for years been using just incredibly inflammatory rhetoric, and if you just step back and kind of look at expressions like Donald Trump is a Nazi. Donald Trump is a Nazi. You repeat a lie enough, it becomes the truth, right? And so you say Donald Trump is a Nazi, you say Donald Trump is a Nazi, etc. Then, of course, people will begin to say that Donald Trump is a Nazi. Same goes with Donald Trump is a fascist and all of this. And that's what they've done with the Supreme Court. They did it when, threatening Roe v. Wade, rather than saying let the court decide and then we'll decide on a remedy that we're after it. For instance, when there's a ruling against Donald Trump or a policy, for instance, the birthright citizenship, you find another way to actually not subvert what the Supreme Court did, but to go around it. But the Democrat Party doesn't do it. They just do stupid crap like this. Does this sound like a sane party to you?
Get out!
When you call ICE Gestapo, then you can attack ICE officers, and then you can try to run them over. And when the ICE officer defends himself, you're suddenly the victim.
Shame on you! Shame on you!
This is demonic. The people involved in this in the Democrat Party are demonic. There's really no other way to put it. This is not sane or rational.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
If your wife is not probably her too, you have to all you can't to me. You can't
do you hear this at Republican rallies? Do you hear this at patriotic rallies?
Get the out of here. Get the out. Nobody wants you here. Right. Get the out.
Yeah, so you kind of understand why insane people do these things, and this is what they do. They encourage this sort of activity. They make sure make the Supreme Court justices who don't vote the way they want that they are somehow a threat to democracy. They are the Supreme Court needs to be packed. They're doing all of this. You call whoever a fascist or whatever, then it gives the unhinged person the permission to take out that person because they feel like they're doing it for the better of humanity, when really all they're doing is the biddings of the devil, to be quite honest. Here is Amy Cody Barrett talking about how the leftists have attacked her and her family.
At that point, one of my teenage sons, opened the door to go out with friends and saw in our street, it was full of police cars.
They'd been swatted.
Who had responded to a false report of gunshots and raised voices in my home. I was very, very grateful that I had
This is a Supreme Court justice.
Supreme Court police outside my home because they were able to stop and meet with and explain to the county police that it had been a false alarm, and so the police did not actually attempt to enter our home. Many of us, me included, have received threatening anonymous deliveries designed to intimidate and harass us. They are often sent in the name of Judge Salas's son, who I think, as you mentioned in the
Listen to this.
Beginning, Mr. Chairman, is deceased because he was killed by a disgruntled lawyer who showed up at Judge Salas's home intending to kill her, but her son, 20 years old at the time, opened the door and took the bullet instead.
So the people who are sending these packages are putting the dead son's name on the package to be delivered to the dead son. That's demonic.
Husband standing behind was seriously injured. So I think the message on these deliveries being sent in his name is clear. As Justice Kagan said, Federal judges across the country, throughout the judiciary, including the Supreme Court, continue to do their jobs without fear or favor, but the threat level is really high.
We're at war. We are at war, and the difference is in this war is we haven't responded to their volleys. This Democrat socialist movement, Mike Johnson talking about it, he is Paul Revere. He is saying the British are coming. He is sounding the alarm. Donald Trump saying we are going to go after these communists. We are going to declare war on them. That is the return volley, and it's coming. So be ready for it, certainly at the ballot box, but we can't let this go on any further. This is why I say the Democrat Party is doing a death spiral into hell. And now it's been exacerbated because it's being attacked by the Democrat Socialists of America. The leadership of the Democrat Party is falling apart. It's exactly as I predicted. It's an unorthodox way for it to happen, admittedly, but it is happening. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hi, kids. The purple hair dye has affected their cerebrums. Scott Davies, you're exactly right. Talking about these insane Democrats. Wonder if the roommates saw him engraving the bullets. No, but the roommate of Tyler Robinson said he asked for a Dremel because he wanted to engrave the bullets. Did you say something, Ryan? Okay. Let's see here. What are we talking about? Food over here. What are we talking about? We also love Italian food. Many people do, and doesn't involve tomato sauce always. Well, yeah, certainly. White sauce dishes, of course. Why not? There are a million different ways. A nice Alfredo. Alfredo sauce. I'll tell you, a good Alfredo is a gift from God. It is a gift from God. A good Alfredo sauce, Italian pasta sauce, gift from God. A perfect Alfredo is a gift from God. It just is. As you know, I told you that, there's some things that are good, and then they are so good that they're a gift from God. Hi, Lady Boo. What's up? Yeah, also, the DNA of the shooter was on the bullet. Yeah, that's what we heard. Sportex says, good show, Rob. Want you on TV with the Robs. Well, we'll see. We might have an additional Rob show. We'll see what happens. Right now, I'm just focusing on the audio and the live stream. I'm taping my TV show today from here. It's not going to look as good as it normally does because we have to get the lights all figured, but we got to get it done. We're going to get it done. All right, it's time for me to do the last break of the day. Dig it. This won't come as a big surprise to you. Apple and Google suppressed negative Graham Plattner stories for months on their news platform. Screw them. Apple and Google spent months suppressing negative news about Graham Plattner prior to his recent downfall, according to a new study obtained by Fox News Digital. The Media Research Center conservative watchdog group found the Apple News and Google News published 0 stories between November last year and May of this year about the various controversies that muddled Plattner's Senate bid, including headlines about his Nazi tattoo and his offensive Reddit posts, among other things, and the Kick profile, etc. Again, earlier this year I told you he's never going to make it to November, and I put together this little thing. I added some production elements to show you the dark soul of this man. This is one of his speeches. Okay, the Democrat Party thought this guy could win, and main Democrats, main elites thought this guy, Nazi tattoo, anti-Semite communist, was a good choice. Shows you that the Democrat Party, particularly those who voted for this man, are really bad people.
No one is coming to save us. We need one thing, Something the man speaking after me has been fighting for 60 years. We need a political revolution. They have taken.
I haven't doctored his voice at all, by the way.
They took so much, they began to think that we didn't exist at all. But they
listen to the howling in the background like banshees from hell.
Don't know man. They don't know the power that we have here, and we are taking back.
They don't know the power we have here.
What is ours? Our tax dollars can build schools and hospitals in America.
Yeah. The Apple and Google News failed to promote at least 112 news stories published by conservative-leaning outlets that scrutinized Plattner during that period. This is why honestly, these news agencies, Apple and Google, a lot of people rely on them, and they need to be exposed, just like the letter networks were exposed and all of that. That is going to wrap things up for the show today. Before I go, I'll say a couple of things. If you get a chance to, check out the podcast, no matter where you go, whatever podcast platform you're on, Spotify or whatever. Just go ahead and click on the little bell on Spotify. On my social media, if you would subscribe to all of my social media, everything from Truth Social to Instagram to TikTok to Facebook to LinkedIn, for God's sake, to X and all of that. Rob Carson Show, if you would do that. I work tirelessly when I'm not on the air to populate those sites, and including the magic fart from Chuck Schumer. That bit has been posted all over my social media. If you haven't heard it yet, it's exploding everywhere. God bless you, America, Donald Trump, and until tomorrow, which is Thursday, do not catch the stupid. I'll see you then.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.